I would say my first job was in Milwaukee, and it was taking care of a little Jewish boy. I don't remember how I got it, but I must have saw it listed in the paper or something, because I didn't know the lady. And it was a ways from my house, but not so far that I couldn't walk. So I would, after school, and then in the summer, I worked full-time for her for a while. And I would walk to her house, and then about 9 o'clock, I would walk home. And that worked out pretty good until one time I was walking home, and a car with about 4 men in it slowed way down, were saying something to me, I suppose, about getting in the car or something. And I was afraid, but I kept right on walking as fast as I could. And it seems like they were gonna try to cut me off by driving into a driveway or something. But I got past, and then I think I ran from then on. So after that, Lorraine or my dad would come and meet me. They wouldn't let me walk home alone after that. But I enjoyed working for that lady. She was real nice, and it wasn't hard at all to take care of her little boy. No, the next job I had in Milwaukee was to be a long-distance telephone operator, and I really enjoyed that work. I always have like that. And I quit because I believe that was when I came back to South Dakota to finish my schooling here in South Dakota. So I had to quit. And there was a job later that, let's see, what was the name? I can't even think of the company, but where we made candy bars. But their contract didn't go through for hiring us. So then they were in cahoots with Morrell's and knew that Morrell's was hiring. So they had a couple of us girls that they felt were very good workers go down there. And then at that job, first it was washing ham pans. And that contract didn't go through like they thought it was going to. But I was qualified at that time to work in the office, so they just transferred me. So I never did get fired from a job. I think when I first started at McKinnon Hospital, and I was a switchboard operator, I liked that probably about the same as I liked being the long-distance operators. I really enjoyed both. But at that little switchboard at the hospital, when you got really busy, you had to plug in to answer calls and pull the plug out to when a call ended. And when you got busy, you really had to be fast at doing that. And I really enjoyed that. But then they went more modern after a few years. And I never did learn the new. They had me go into the office and work there then when that ended. We had a couple at McKinnon that I liked real well. They were both men. The one was real easy to get along with and real friendly and nice. But in later years, after he had left the hospital and went to another job, I guess it ended up where he stole money from them. But he was I think he ended up in prison probably. But he was a nice guy and real easygoing. So, and then there was another man at the hospital. He would say stuff if he thought you needed to be scolded or whatever, but at the same time, he was always real fair. And he was pretty easy to get along with, too. So they were both real good. And even the last boss I had there, I never had words with him. We just all got along fine. In Milwaukee, when I wanted to quit my job at Pabst Brewing Company, I worked in the office and did different jobs there. And when I went to tell my boss I wanted to quit, I ended up crying, and he was a real nice boss, but I just got so nervous and I was so homesick for South Dakota that I ended up crying, and he ended up offering to teach me how to use every machine in the office if I would stay. But I just kept crying and said no, I had to go home to South Dakota. But he wasn't a bad boss. It was just me that got upset. They did give us beer, but not, I think it was only at Christmas time, if I remember correctly. They'd give us I don't know if it was a case of beer or what, but, and I probably drank some of it along with my dad. Lorraine would never touch it. And I don't know who else would have, but I did drink some, although I never cared much for the taste of it. Now, well, I'm not able to do a lot now, so I have two things that I like to do. I love putting puzzles together, but I cannot see very good anymore, so I have a terrible time. But I will work at it yet, because until I just can't see, I'm still going to try to put puzzles together. The other one is listening to my talking books. Now, I get those through the state library at Pierre. They automatically send me out these books. It's like a cartridge, like a tape, but it's a small cartridge, and it fits into a little machine. And I get it through the Services for the Blind and Impaired Vision people. And that's something that I can do, and I can sit there on my bed and listen to those. So that's mainly what I do now. I just like the news shows, and I like 60 Minutes, which is also a news show. I do like God Friended Me, that comes on after 60 Minutes. Not every week, but it goes on for a while, and I see it starting again now. So I like that, but so many of the TV shows, I can't catch exactly what they're saying. And by the time my hearing and my mind have figured out what they said, the time already had gone into something new going on. So it's hard to connect a lot of that. I think that's one reason I care mostly for the news. Oh yeah, we always listened to all the shows then. When TV first came out, I think we were enthralled over all of them. Of course, Lucille Ball, all of those comedy shows, Dick Van Dyke, all of those we liked. And then the cowboy shows, Gunsmoke, and things like that. It was all new to us. So we enjoyed all of that at that time. Oh, I'm thankful for so many things. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for every single one of you kids, and for my kids. And I'm thankful that I've got a roof over my head, that I've got food to eat, and I'm thankful that I can help and give to different charities a small amount every week, not the same charities all the time. But like Feeding South Dakota, I usually give to that just about every month. Not a lot of money, but I feel like I'm giving anyway. I do not know how people happen to live this long. When I think of it, my mother died at the age of 46, I think she was. And my aunts, her sisters, mostly all lived to be in their 90s, except her. She died, well, there was another a sister that died young. And then in my family, my oldest brother and Lorraine, my oldest sister, both lived up in the high 90s. My other sister, of course, died in a car accident, so she died young. But who knows why people live? I'm 92. I was born premature. They didn't think I would live. Only God knows how come some die young and some live to be in their 90s. I usually always say that I think the most carefree times and the happiest were when my kids were little and they were at home all around me, and I had good lady friends. We would get together for coffee, and it just seemed like a peaceful, easy time of living. And I think we were all happy then. After your kids are older and out away from you, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know when they're coming home. It's a much more harder time. So when my kids were little and at home with me, I think I enjoyed my life the most. I used to like Uno, and what are some of those other ones? There were several I liked. As far as card games, playing rummy was always fun, and a game that I call casino. I taught it, I know, to Joelle and Johanna. I can't remember if I taught it to any of the rest of you. But that's a fun little quick game. Of course, we used to play Monopoly a lot for a while. Oh, I know there were other games too that were fun. I can't think of the names. Well, I did love to read the Argus Leader, but I can't read anymore because of macular degeneration. So I depend on the TV, and I always listen to the news, 5:30, and 6 o'clock. I don't listen to the 10 o'clock news because I'm sound asleep by that time. But then in the mornings, because I get up so early, I listen to the news, whatever kind comes on, up until probably 9 o'clock. Oh, much different. I think. I don't know how I thought my life would turn out, but when my first husband was killed in a car accident, well, that changes your life completely. And I was a single person with children for 17 years before I married again. And then things sort of settled down, but it just seems like nowadays life never settles down very good. You never know what's coming from one day to the next. So it's, I don't know, I'd say more uneasy living. I'm not sure if it's the situation in the world, everything is so turned upside down, it seems like, that you never know now what's going to happen from 1 hour to the next. I always liked jobs where I could talk on the phone. I enjoyed that. I didn't much care for typing, so I preferred answering the phone and talking to people. When I was in a ladies' group at church, I really enjoyed leading the Bible study. It takes a lot of study for yourself, but it's so rewarding to be able to talk to the women and have them answer questions, and we would ask and answer each of ours. Not one person really did the entire talking. And I enjoyed putting on programs. So that was something a lot of people don't like to do, but I enjoyed that. So sort of acting and performing, I guess you might say, and anything to do with writing, I liked that. But there were a lot of other things, like running a lot of the machines, like in the offices, I didn't care to do. I didn't care for typing, things like that. But it was like talking or writing, doing something like that I enjoyed the most. For one thing, a lady that went to my church, in fact, Connie took care of her grandson and became good friends with her mother, Dawn Frick, at one time. But Ruth Frick belonged to my church, and I always have thanked her and her husband for being such very good Christians that they really helped me, not with anything they said or did for me or to me. It was just the lives they led, and I appreciated that so much that it helped me in my spiritual life grow. So, and I did finally go up and tell Ruth that. I believe her husband might have died by that time. But I told her, thank you.